going to try something new. And that is just going to be me talking freely without me trying to plan it or, you know, figure it out, clean it up, make it look a certain way, present it a certain way. I'm choosing myself. I have seen the signs and I'm choosing myself, but at the same time I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how to do that because I don't know a time when I have chose myself, or when I do try to remember a time when I chose myself. I think of maybe childhood when, I wanted to keep things to myself and I was called selfish. And so I worked and have worked really, 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 really hard to not be selfish. But now that, I'm an adult and I'm trying to relearn and heal childhood traumas and figure out who I am, sometimes I feel like maybe I'm leaning too far into selfishness when I'm trying to be selfless, but also uphold a boundary. Because when you're so used to trying to people please, when you start saying no, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't, it's hard. It's hard to say no. And it feels like you're letting people down when you say no. And it feels like you're being mean or harsh when you tell people no. And like trying to find that balance of being okay with your no. Like, you need to say no because you need to put yourself first in the sense of, like, I'm tired. Like, I would love to help you do such and such, but I am tired. And I feel that way when it comes to my friendships. Like, my friendships are suffering because, on one hand, I just want me time. Being a single parent of three under three, it's not easy. And all of my days from about 7:30 a.m. until about 7 p.m. at night, and sometimes a little later because they don't ever just go straight to sleep. It's 12 full hours every single day of me being on go, trying to juggle, being present, trying to juggle, allowing them the space to learn on their own, but also teach them words and potty training and eating and manners and being kind. I'd never feel like it's enough. How do I juggle playtime and learning time as well as maintain the cleanliness of the home, the meal planning and prepping, the grocery shopping, the everyday tasks that need to get done, such as doing hair, washing clothes, taking care of my own self, doing something productive so that I can have an income, because right now I still am without a place of employment. I think that's the best way to say it, because I don't want to say that I'm without finances, because I serve an infinite God who controls everything, including finances. So I can't say that I'm without finances if I'm under his leadership. I may not have it in my personal possession, but he does. So just trying to find that balance and not lose yourself is hard. So when it comes to my friendships, by the end of the day, I'm trying to have some piece of solace where I feel as if, I'm rejuvenating from the day, or I'm catching up on things that I couldn't do during the day, such as washing my hair or doing something creative that hopefully leads to financial abundance. And it's like, where do you make time for friends and companionship when it feels as if you're juggling it all? And I know that's not my job. I know I'm not supposed to feel as if I have the weight of the world on my shoulders, because I don't. I don't control any of this. I can drop dead tomorrow and life is still going to go on. So it's like, how do you choose yourself without feeling guilty or feeling as if you're lacking something or missing something? That's where I'm at in my life. And on one hand, I want I want my man. I want my spouse. I want who it is that God has for me. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, am I even ready for him? Do I have enough to offer him? Because a lot of days I go without being able to look presentable. My hair is a hot mess right now. It actually needs to get washed, but I also need to upload a video and be creative and do what it is that I said that I wanted to do, which is become a content creator. But the struggle is real. The struggle is real. So here I am, choosing myself, not thinking about what all needs to get done, but thinking about release, getting my thoughts out there. I once heard before that, and I can't think of the book, but it did come from a book. This is not my wisdom. It came from a book, but it said that you should journal because it's a good way of getting your thoughts out and creating more space for your brain to do other things. But if you're constantly thinking about the same thing in your mind, but you haven't written it down, then that space that your brain could be using, because it's not like that's new information. So say you need to get your car oil changed and you've been needing to do it for the last 3 weeks. Every few days, your mind goes, hey, you need to go get your oil changed. Hey, you need to go get your oil changed. Hey, you need to go get your oil changed. And it's because you haven't written it down, you haven't made a plan to do said thing. So if you take the time to sit down and say, okay, I don't have the time to do a oil change this week, but let me schedule it for next week. You have to make time for the things that you want to do. And it's so cliche. And I feel like it's a paradox in a way because, again, me saying I don't have time for companionship or friendship, but here I am, I'm saying that you make time for the things that you want and you need. It's hard. But maybe it's my excuses. Maybe it's me self-sabotaging that makes it seem hard because I don't want to do the mundane thing every single day that's going to lead me to success. I'm like everybody else, and I'm so sorry for jumping all over the place, but I'm starting to think that I may have ADHD. I don't know. I don't want to put that on myself, but the more that I am exposed to social media and TikTok and other people, the more I learn about different things. And so my perception of ADHD was somebody that's just bouncing off the walls 24/7. And I'm like, hey, I'm not bouncing off the wall 24/7. So I don't believe that I have ADHD or ADD, but seeing more and more social media platforms and creators share their versions of ADHD, of how they jump from subject to subject, or they start doing this one thing and then something catches their eye and they start doing another thing. I relate. I relate. So that's what makes me feel like, okay, well, maybe is that something I need to look into? Because I do jump around. But anywho, I'm trying to bring it back full circle because I do feel as if it all connects. But back to the paradox. You make time for the things that you want to do. And a lot of times with success, if not all the time, it's the little small everyday things that you do that leads you to success. But when you're doing it day in and day out, it feels boring. It feels tiresome. It's like working on an assembly line. If you're working in a factory and your job is to put the blue cap on top of the purple, that's your only job every single day, all day, day in, day out. It can kind of feel as if it's insignificant. But when you put all of the pieces together, okay, well, Susie over here is doing this, and Jim over here is doing that, and Jim Bob over here is doing this. When you look at the end product, all of these small working pieces and roles that everybody play, it leads to a car, or it leads to um, I can't think of anything else at this moment in time that goes on an assembly line. But anyways, anything that goes on an assembly line, like it, if you work in a factory and you have this one job, it can feel as if it's not important or it's boring. But it's important because it works together with so many other people and moving parts. And I feel like God has given me an aha moment where I'm about to lead somewhere else, but it's still connected. I think that's why it's so important for you to have relationships and have teams, but they have to be intentional and they have to be for a purpose. So if you're just communicating with somebody just for the sake of communicating because you don't want to be lonely or alone, then it can feel as if what you're doing with that person is taking away from what you should be doing. But if you have somebody where you're an accountability partner, you know, okay, well, when I go to this friend, um, yes, I'm there to support them and they're there to support me. And it's not just about this one thing, but every single time we talk, we are going to touch on this one thing. So maybe that one thing may be fitness. Maybe they are your accountability partner with fitness. They make sure that, you know, you're running. If you said you wanted to run a mile a day, they're making sure that, hey, did you run your mile today? Or if you want to work out, hey, did you work out today? And you know, that's what that friendship is not only about, but that's why it's important for you to have that piece. So I just think maybe that's the importance of one of the benefits of companionship and friendships, especially when they're intentional friendships. And you all have laid out what it is that you want out of that friendship. I don't think people do that enough where they go into friendships kind of laying out a foundation of what they hope to gain from this friendship or, you know. Yeah, okay. I think I'm going down a tangent and I don't want to do that. But yeah, how do you choose yourself? I think that's the gist of what this is how do you choose yourself? What does that look like? How do you find that balance between selflessness, but also being a little selfish with your time because it's necessary? You got to put yourself first. Hmm. Well, you all, I thank you for listening. I didn't intend on sharing this, but I think this is maybe what God wants me to do because it just felt easy in a sense of natural, like it felt natural to do. So I think maybe this is episode 1 of the Prospering Property podcast. So welcome. Let's continue to prosper properly as His property. If you haven't already, please do check out my YouTube channel. Prospering Property. I do share more insights about my life. So if you're interested in getting to know the face behind the voice, then that's there for you. But if not, then feel free to just enjoy the voice, and I hope you like it. I can't make any promises on what the time frame is going to be because this kind of just happened in the moment here, but I do believe this is God led. So I'm going to pray on it, and when He leads me to talk, I'm going to talk. Sometimes God has us pivot for a reason. Sometimes we come to the end of a road and we think it's a dead end, but or that we went down the wrong road, but maybe you were meant to go down that road because there was stuff that you needed to gain along that road. There was stuff you needed to see along that road. If you hadn't gone down this road, then you wouldn't have seen, uh, you know, something. Maybe I can't think of a metaphor at this moment or an analogy, but maybe you were meant to pick something up on that road. And so when it's time for you to turn around because there's no more road left to travel, it could kind of feel as if, well, dang, I wasted my time, or, I went down the wrong path, or I shouldn't have done this. And it's not that. It's you were meant to go down that road, but you weren't meant to stay on that road. It's okay to pivot. And I feel like that's what God is showing me in this moment right here, right now, in real time, is that it's okay to pivot. I've learned a lot on my YouTube journey. I have learned so much about editing. I have learned so much about, lighting, making sure that recordings are good. And who knows, maybe because this is a start, you never know how something is going to turn out. So, yeah, I hope that helps somebody. But you all, I hope you have a wonderful night, evening, morning, whenever it is that you're listening to this. And I thank you so very much for your time. And I hope you have a blessed day. Prospering Property.